Hi all. So we know pretty much all we need to know about skill. So now today we're going to look at ability. How does ability differ from skill? How does it link to skill? And does it affect a means for us to gain skills or perform skills within an environment? Same as always, make notes, make sure you get the definitions down, write down any questions or queries that you'd maybe want to discuss in the lesson. As you go through, maybe there'll be parts that you're not quite sure of. So what is ability then? 4 pictures to kind of give us a clue. So top left, skill underpins or is supported by ability. Bottom left, ability is stable rather than the broken down building that's below it. Top right, ability is inherited from parents via our genes. And the bottom one, ability is natural or innate. So each skill usually needs several supporting abilities if we're going to be able to learn that skill. So supporting, underlying, underpinning, either one of those will give you the mark, but it's important that we know ability underpins skill. So without ability, the learning of a skill will be a lot harder or a lot slower process. So we're born with abilities. These abilities that we're born with are determined by the genes we inherit from our parents. So quite often you might hear a comment, oh, you're so-and-so, just like your dad. Oh, that's quite natural to you, the same as it was when I spoke or when I taught your dad. So it comes quite naturally. And finally, abilities tend to remain unchanged because they're stable. They can be affected by our experiences in that they can change and develop as we mature, but most of the time they remain unchanged, so they remain with us. So we do naturally have that ability for something for all of our lives. So a definition. We know we've got to get this down. So ability is inherited, innate stable traits. Remember, innate means natural, that determines a person's potential to acquire skills. So there are a number of abilities that we can inherit from our parents, and having these will allow us, or we have a better potential to acquire skills more quickly and more easily, and they are down there. So coordination, reaction time, agility, manual dexterity. Now if you don't know what that is, that's using your fingers. So a darts player would have good manual dexterity, so small movements or delicate things with your fingers. Balance, flexibility and strength. So those are our different traits that we could inherit or have naturally from our parents. So we'll link it to a sporting example. Think about Usain Bolt. So we know that he could have naturally gained abilities through inheritance of his parents' genes. Which ones do you potentially think that he could have inherited from his parents that makes him successful at sprinting? Could it be his flexibility in his hips, coordination, giving him good balance as he's running, reaction time at the gun, strength in his legs? They're just some examples of the natural abilities he might have got from his parents, allowing him to be successful at the 100 metres, do so more naturally, so he had the potential to acquire the skill of sprinting more quickly or easier than some of the others as he was growing up. So linking things together then, we've got a way to look at it. So we know that ability underpins skill. So it sits below that triangle skill. We know that we build from young to old and our skills develop as we mature. So we can say that skill is something that's learned and ability is something that's innate or natural and inherited from our parents. So ability supports a performer's potential to acquire and learn those foundation skills. Foundation skills such as walking, catching, throwing, cycling. And then those foundation skills can be adapted and developed to produce the sport-specific skills at the top. So learning to play catch, or throwing a ball back and forth to our parents in the garden when we were doing our foundation skills leads to those sport-specific skills of a shoulder pass in netball, for an example. So somebody that inherited good balance, good coordination and good strength from their parents, with those natural abilities within those things, they might have learned to throw more quickly. As they go into sport-specific skills such as a shoulder pass, the strength would give them the natural ability to learn that skill and increase the power that they can generate when performing that skill. They might have learned it a little bit quicker than others, and they might have been more successful than others because of that natural ability of their coordination that they inherited from their parents. So it all links together. So our ability supports our learning of skills in terms of we are able to learn them more quickly because things come potentially more naturally to us because of those abilities that we've inherited, the abilities that we have naturally. So that added potential of the natural ability we might have because of this inheritance is only a so-called advantage if certain things happen. So if as a child we're given a wide range of experiences, that advantage of those natural abilities is obviously used. If we don't get the experience, we don't get that opportunity to learn things earlier on and grasp them more quickly. Also, we need to practice. We know that skills need to be learned in order to be skillful. So if we're given more opportunity to practice, we're more likely to grasp that skill more quickly. And even though we have that natural ability, if we don't practice using that natural ability, we wouldn't necessarily develop the skill very quickly otherwise. If we receive expert teaching and coaching, pushing towards those sport-specific skills, we could learn those more quickly. Without that expert teaching, the advantage of our natural ability would be lost. And finally, we need access to facilities and equipment in order to practice using our natural ability within different sporting contexts to allow us to use that advantage of inheriting those abilities in the first place. So overall then, a final comparison of the two. Skill is learned, whereas ability is innate or natural and is inherited. Skills can be adapted, developed and improved, while the abilities that you inherit tend to be stable and enduring. They stay with you for a long time and don't tend to develop anymore. You just naturally have them. And finally, skill is a combination of ability and knowledge. So with your ability, you apply knowledge to allow you to learn the skill and apply it to certain situations, whereas our abilities remain unchanged. They just help us to naturally learn skills more quickly. So make sure then you've got notes of those definitions, you know the clear difference between the two, you have sporting examples that link to someone's natural ability, and we know how ability and skill work together to develop a performance. And also finally, make sure you know those factors, what affects a person's potential to acquire skills, how do they use their natural ability to their advantage.